Kia ora anō, and welcome back to the main stage of IMNZ, the Virtual Leadership Summit. Dr. John Peebles is still just finishing up his Q&A over in sessions, but here on the main stage, our next and final speaker of the day is leadership expert and IMNZ facilitator Nick Preddle. Now, this presentation will be a little different to the other ones, as Nick will give a teaser training event followed by a live Q&A session. So Nick, if you want to jump up onto the main stage now, this will be an interesting and valuable way to finish this leadership event. Over to you, Nick.
Tēnā koutou katoa, and thanks for the warm welcome, Tristram. It is my immense pleasure to be here today. I've been tuning into all the presentations, and wow, you know, what a meaty topic this leadership area is. And I think back from my own personal development and career development, I think back 30 years, and I think, wow, if I had the benefit of this sort of information, this mentoring, this guidance, I wish that I had that in my career. May have led where it may have led to. So my name is Nick Preddle. I am very, very proud to be one of the team of facilitators that lead up IMNZ's professional development program. I specialize in team performance training and leadership training, and I am very proud to be one of the leaders of the Team Leader Essentials and the Elevate Leadership Program. A little bit about me before we get into a taster session of some of the training that you can experience through IMNZ. I graduated from Canterbury University with a law degree, and off I went into the legal practice. And after 2 years, there was a level of disillusionment. And I think what it was an awareness that, well, we can put people together in a workplace and with different skills and expertise, but for me, something was missing. And later on, I came to see that it was just this realization that how we work together in teams and how we actually gel as a unit in a workplace actually requires some skills and some development and some knowledge about how to do that. Well, I took off to Fiji, and I set up an ecotourism company with a colleague of mine, and we started running multi-day, 5-day, 7-day tours with people coming from all over the world. And what a fascinating study that was in group management and people management. And a guy by the name of George Spate came along in about the year 2000, and there was a coup, took over the country, and that was my cue to get out of Fiji and head back to New Zealand. But I headed back to New Zealand with something of a mission. And my mission at that point was really to get to the heart of what does it take to transform workplaces, and to bring about something that was making workplaces more about people and more about people development and being effective for people's goals and objectives in life. So I have spent 20 years in this inquiry, and it has led me to this position now where I am, as I said, leading up one of the team in IMNZ, leading up the team in the Team Leader Essentials. So my expertise is in leadership development and team performance. And I firmly believe that the world needs leadership now more than possibly any time in our history. We're facing, as a lot of the speakers have alluded to already today, some significant challenges. And so what is this whole area of leadership? What we know is that leadership is not a rank. It's not a position of authority. It's not even really a position or something to aspire to be. It's actually a place to come from. So what is it? Where do we come from as leaders? What are some of the things we need to, some of the understanding we need to have from this position that we come from? Well, the first thing's been talked about a lot in some of the sessions already today, is that leaders need followers. We have to nurture our followers. We have to bring people along with us for the journey. And so my presentation today, which I'm just going to share my screen, and it's all worked really nice and smoothly as it did in the practice. Here we go, just sharing my screen. So my presentation today is entitled How to Build Trust, Lead Authentically, and Create Genuine Connections. And as Tristan said, this is a little bit of a taster of some of the training and some of the professional development you can get from taking part in one of our IMNZ trainings. So I want to start with a little exercise, actually, just like to get things moving. So just take your arms and just fold them in the most natural way that you can possibly fold them. And if you do that, you'll just find that your arms will just fold in a natural kind of way. Now, what I'd like you to do is now try and fold them the other way around. You see, it's not such a natural thing to do. So we all have a natural way of doing things. And as leaders, it's really important that we find our natural rhythm, we find our natural way of leading. So leadership, as I said, is it's moments in our day. We lead from moment to moment, from day to day. And this first part of this inquiry is about, well, how do we build trust in the moment? So we find ourselves in situations. There might be a challenge that we're facing, a situation in the workplace. There might be some behaviour that we have witnessed that we know it's not okay. There's something we want to change about it. And in those moments, as leaders, we are faced with a very, very simple choice. And that choice is to do one or two things in that situation. The first choice we have is to do absolutely nothing. We witness the behaviour, we witness the situation, and we choose to do nothing. So why do we choose to do nothing in those situations? Well, they're quite common sort of answers to that. One is fear of failure. We don't know how it's going to go, so and we fear that it might not work out. So we fear the failure in the moment. We might not know the outcome. I don't know how to do that, so I'm not sure what the outcome is going to be. So again, I choose to do nothing. So we avoid the conflict of the moment. Again, very legitimate reason for doing nothing. And ultimately, from doing nothing, we get to avoid the responsibility. We get to avoid taking charge of the situation. So what's the outcome of doing nothing in those situations? Well, typically, the outcome is just no change. Status quo, the same thing continues. The interesting thing, of course, is what is the message that sends? What is the message that sends? And fundamentally, the message is, I approve of the behaviour, I endorse the behaviour, I endorse the situation, I do not accept the challenge. And I do not accept responsibility. So that's the choice we are faced. Very, very simple choice, red flag moment goes off, I choose to do nothing. On the other side of the equation, we can choose to do something. So why do we choose to do something? Well, we want to affect change. We want to make a difference. We want to take responsibility for the situation. We want to send the message that something's not okay, and we want to do something about it. And so what's the outcome of doing something? Well, things can get better, they can get worse, or they can stay the same. But this is the key. This is the most important and interesting thing about this. It's the message that we send. And the message that we send is, I do not approve of this situation. I want to do something about it. I want to take some action. And ultimately, I accept responsibility. The interesting thing about responsibility, and in the definition of the word of responsibility, is able to respond. And the interesting thing here is that, what does it take to actually choose between those two things? Do I choose to do nothing? I choose to do something. The one thing it takes in those moments, very simply, is courage. The courage to take the action. But the interesting thing from a point of building trust with people within our team, the followers, the people that we're leading, it is the intention first and then the outcome. And what I mean by that is that by taking the action, by doing the something, by showing that we are prepared to take that responsibility, that's where we gain the respect and build the trust with the individuals within our team. So particularly as first-time leaders, early leaders going into situations, it's about taking action and without even necessarily knowing what the outcome is, because it says, I'm responsible, I'm prepared to take action. The second way that we like to look at this element of building trust is when we're in a situation where we have an opportunity to trust one or two people or someone within our team. So we have person A or person B. And the analogy I like to use in this scenario is imagine you're in a game of football. You have the ball and you have a choice to pass to person A or pass to person B. You choose to pass to person A because you trust them in that moment, right? Why do we trust someone in that moment? We trust them because of their past experience. We trust them because of their skill. We trust them because of their competency. We trust them because they might be in a better position. So we choose to pass We choose to pass responsibility, we choose to pass an action, we choose to pass the ball to person A on this occasion. So a channel of trust develops between leader and person A. And we might continue to trust that person in that scenario. The interesting thing from a leadership point of view is what's happening over here with person B. If we do not trust that person and pass the ball, if we don't pass the ball to person B develops a lack of confidence, can develop a lack of motivation, their skill development obviously isn't enhanced, and apathy can develop, and trust can begin to be eroded. The other thing that's very, very interesting about this scenario is the relationship between A and B. So if leader or person continues to pass to person A, and again using the football analogy, you know, sometimes there are a time when a leader has to get their head up and understand that it's important that we pass the ball to person B. We'll take the scrum in the rugby analogy rather than scoring under the post, because next time around we build up the skills, we build up the competency, we build up the confidence of person B. So leaders understand that building trust is about sometimes taking a much wider viewpoint of the situation and how to build trust within teams. So what is the actions that we need to take? What are the values that we need to take or assess in terms of making that decision in terms of, you know, who we pass to, and what kind of understanding do we want our team to have of us? Who are we in this moment in terms of leading authentically? Well, leading authentically essentially means living your values. Values being actions that, so it's visibly demonstrating the actions that uphold or align with your values. This is what leading authentically is. It's about being consistent with what you say, about being consistent with what you do. There are 4 key components of authentic leadership. The first one is self-awareness. The second one is internalized moral perspective. The third one is balanced processing, and the fourth is rational transparency. So let's take a look at each of those elements of authentic leadership in a little bit more detail. Don't have time to take a seriously deep dive into it, but self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is about understanding who you are. You can't lead people until you know who you are. You need to understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, and understand the multifaceted nature of self. The previous speaker talked about AQ or AQ in the session, being aware of your impact on others, having a high empathy, having a high EQ. You know, so some of the things we need to do inside of this need or this component is ask people. You know, as a leader, asking people, well, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Seeking feedback from people, being open to receive feedback. Read, absorb, you know, seek information about how to be more aware of who you are and therefore the type of leader you want to be. Listening skills is very, very important. So inside of one of our programs, we do a whole session on active listening and how to listen more effectively. And the hierarchy of listening, sorry. So we can get up to a higher understanding of our ability to listen. Second one there is internalized moral perspective. And this is about understanding your own inner compass, understanding your own inner moral standards. And that's opposed to those of the group or the organization or of a society. The recommendation here is that we take time on a regular basis with a journal or some sort of position, sort of place where you note these things down and assess your values on a day or weekly or monthly basis, and continue to add to them. Continue to ask yourself, if I was faced with this situation, the what is, how would I respond? So you get to understand your own moral compass and your own moral ability to respond to situations. So putting yourself in imagining situations and understanding how you would respond so that you can begin to make sound ethical decisions and ethical behavior. And again, asking other people, what would they do in those sort of situations, and start to build up a groundwork of your own moral perspective around things. The third one is balanced processing. And this is objectively evaluating information before a decision is made. So again, asking people, asking questions. Leaders ask long leveraged questions. They seek the solution in the question. So encouraging others to question and challenge your values. Great leaders reward and praise people for challenging their views, as opposed to squashing that kind of opinion. So great leaders really understand the value of people challenging their opinions and actually praise and recognize and reward people for doing so. The fourth component of leading authentically is relational transparency. And effectively what this means is just being transparent, being open, being true to your values, expressing your views to others and openly sharing your thoughts and feelings. So, making yourself vulnerable. We talk about this, leading with the heart. So if you open the door to your own vulnerability, show people that you're open to that, it provides the environment, the situation where other people can comfortably step in and also feel vulnerable and be transparent and open. And this is really valuable when mistakes are made. So in workplaces, mistakes are made regularly, right? It's about how we deal with those situations as opposed to the fact that the mistake has been made. Yeah. So it's about giving people the comfort, giving people the access, opening the opportunity for people to also share their own thoughts and feelings. That is the fourth component of leading authentically. This quote: "Without knowing a leader's values, followers can't predict what a leader will do." Followers, as we discussed, key to the whole relationship of leaders. You can't. Chloe mentioned this, a lot. You can't lead without people, to follow in your footsteps. If people can't predict what you're going to do, if they can't understand where you come from, it makes it almost virtually impossible for them to follow you. The third part of this presentation is about creating genuine connections. And what we mean by genuine connections is situations or true relationships within a workplace. So there are 4 conditions that need to be satisfied for genuine connections to occur between 2 people. And these 4 conditions are: the first one is a sense of being nurtured. This person cares for me. They look after me. I feel psychologically safe in their presence. You have my back. I am safe with you. That's the first condition for a genuine connection to take place. The second condition for a genuine connection to take place is a sense of belonging to something deeper than ourselves. So a deeper connection, so the sense of this is my tribe, this is where I belong. As leaders, it's important that we express openly what that deepest connection is so that other people can step into our vision of that and they can decide whether they align with our sense of belonging or our sense of tribe and the bigger connection that we have. So, inside your organization, what are we seeking to achieve from a value perspective that people can step into and say, yeah, I align with that. This is my tribe. I belong here. The fourth condition that needs to be satisfied for a genuine connection to take place is a shared purpose or goal. So this is not so much the tribe in terms of feeling safe. This is about, well, where are we going? What's the mission we're on together? What's our actual goal over and above turning up to work, making a difference? It's what is our shared goal? And again, a leader has a vital role to play in this situation by being openly expressing those goals, allowing other members of the team to feed into those goals, and keeping that at the forefront. So waving that flag. What's our shared purpose? What's our goal? Let's all pull in the same direction. Keep on this mission together. That's the third condition that needs to be satisfied. And the fourth condition is the individual feels valued. So this is where my contribution to the organization, my contribution to the team is valuable and valued. 2 different things. So it's valuable in the sense that I am making a difference and making a contribution. It's valued in the sense that I'm getting positive reinforcement, positive feedback to understand that I am valued within the organization, and therefore I feel a connection to it. So those are the 4 conditions that need to be present for a genuine connection to take place. Really important in the workplace, particularly, that we don't confuse connection with friendship. It's not necessary to be friends with everyone, but it's necessary to connect with everyone. And if we work on the right environment, so it takes time, yes, it does. It takes one-on-one meetings with people. It takes a commitment to creating that environment. planning, commitment, time to create the right environment for those 4 conditions to take place. But if those 4 conditions take place, then relationships of genuine openness and connectivity will naturally occur within a team or within an organisation. The 5 levels of leadership has been developed by John C. Maxwell, and this is an interesting analysis. There are 5 levels of leadership. Right at the bottom, we have the level where people follow us because they simply have to. It's by virtue of the rank, by virtue of the authority that we have. The second level of leadership is all about relationships with permission. This is where people follow you because they want to. And as we go higher up the hierarchy, what you'll notice is it comes back to the actions that we take as leaders. Because the third level of leadership is level 3, about results. And this is where people start to follow us because of what you have done for the organization. So it's about your credibility, more about your track record. The next level up is level 4. It's all about people development, where people follow the leader or follow you because of what you have done for them. So that starts to become more about the individual relationship that you have, the one-on-one, what you have done to help them in their situation. And the highest level of leadership is the pinnacle, and this is the level of respect. This is where people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. And what you'll notice, as I said, is that the top 3 levels in the hierarchy come back to the actions of the leader, which brings us back to the early part of this discussion, where it's about the actions that you take that get the buy-in, the actions that you take that people believe that they can follow. So when they see you taking actions, it's more about the actions you take than the outcomes you produce. So those are the 5 levels of leadership. And what you'll notice is that within any team or organization and in terms of people's relationship to the leader, there will be people at different levels of the hierarchy relative to an individual leader. And you may notice that yourself if you're thinking about, well, how do I relate to the leaders that I have in my life? So in summary, leadership is about courage. Well, developing trust within relationships is definitely about courage. It's about the courage to make choices and take actions in the face of not knowing the outcome, in the face of the fear, in the face of avoiding conflict. Because if we don't take action, we allow something to be, we actually endorse something. So it's about actions rather than outcomes. So leaders see responsibility as a freedom because you have the ability to actually do something about it. You have the ability to be responsible rather than a burden. And this is a real key distinction. Responsibility, often seen as a burden, but really it's a freedom. It's a freedom to take the actions that are required in any given situation. Actions we take need to uphold our values, and therefore people are prepared to be led by us through our authentic value system. And genuine connections can be created by simply providing the right environment for the 4 conditions to take place. It has been a great pleasure to bring you a little taster of some of the training, some of the insights that you can get from taking part in one of our IMNZ presentations. I'm just going to stop sharing now and hopefully come back to the main screen. Let me see. Here we are.
G'day, Nick. I'll jump in here as well. That was absolutely fascinating. Some brilliant insights there. Sorry, did you have one more sentence you just wanted to finish off there, did you?
Oh, well, I'm heading over to a session for Q&A, so I look forward to taking some questions. And I guess just to wrap to say, yeah, we'd welcome to see, any of the participants here on taking on some of our training where we can obviously go a lot deeper into these topics.
And I can confirm that many of the people who have been watching you for the last 20 minutes do have questions for you. So, Nick, thank you again. If you did want to head over to sessions now, and anybody who would like to talk directly or message Nick directly, also head over to sessions for our final live Q&A group. Just click sessions and then Nick's live Q&A group. We'll see you over there and you can engage directly with Nick on this fascinating training event. Such a great way to finish this leadership summit. Now, before I sign off, don't forget to check our poll questions and results on the right-hand side of your screen. And in response to many of your questions, yes, all of today's summit has been recorded and will be sent out to everyone who registered over the next couple of days. And so for me, that's it from the main stage on what has been a truly inspiring morning of leadership presentations and Q&As. A reminder that we'll have further leadership webinars at the same time, same place for the next 2 Wednesdays. So links to both those sessions are in the main reception tab on the left-hand side of your screen. Head over to the Q&A sessions with Nick, but otherwise I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you. Ka kite anō.